And here we go. We are live, everybody. Last day of March here on the Prop Stars. We were there for 1 second. We're coming right back in 1 second. I like the brick wall theming. There we go. The brick's gone. Now we got our palm trees back. We're back in Florida, baby. I don't know where we just were. It felt like New York. Maybe TJ can vouch for that. TJ, how you doing, man? Like the glasses, looking sharp. How you feeling today?
I'm having some sort of light sensitivity thing. My doctor says I need to do something about it.
Love it.
We're going to be wearing glasses, somewhat prescription. I don't know what's going on here, but we'll figure it out. I mean, let's start it up, right? It's the elephant in the room, March Madness, one of the greatest plays in March Madness history. And Duke,
did you know who Braylon Mullins was before that shot?
So I didn't, because like I said, I just could only name, I think, 8 guys going into the March Madness tournament.
I knew who Boozer was for Duke.
Yep. I know the Boozer brothers, but I know basketball, and I know that with his adrenaline rushing like that, to just go nothing but net. Anybody that watches the Big East knows this guy's a freshman phenom. He's made shots like that since he's been in high school. He was recruited heavily, obviously went to UConn, buries that shot. And the big debate is, did Duke handle the inbound play the right way? It was very tricky. I thought they did everything right until obviously the other Boozer brother turned it over. But I still think
pausing it right there, right? So when he turns it over, we've all played in some sort of form of sports. When the time's rolling down, you're trying to get rid of the ball. You're trying to make them scramble, or if you throw it out of bounds the other way, then they got to re-inbound it, yada, yada. That's obviously what he was thinking, right? Because clearly all you got to do is hang on to the ball and they foul you, right?
Well, this is the problem in college, first of all, right? I'm not.
This is what I want to talk to you about, because it didn't seem obvious to me. I thought you were supposed to just hold the ball. Throwing it's the worst thing ever, and then you turned it over and everything happened.
You can't just hold the ball, and this is the reason why. And I knew this right when I saw the result, because I was kind of lagging a little bit. And when I watched the replay, the first thing I thought of was UConn had the possession arrow. It had to be that way. So I looked, and obviously So it's not the NBA. It's a jump. If it's a jump ball, so all UConn has to do,
possession goes the other way and they get it back.
All UConn has to do is press them and grab the ball. If they're both holding it, then it's UConn's ball if they call a jump ball. So obviously there's 10 seconds to go. It's a 10-second backcourt violation. So the backcourt cannot be called. That's also a big thing. So right away, they pass it to Boozer. Boozer holds on to it. He passes it back to the inbound play. That is exactly how you attack a full court press. You go, it's almost like you go one guy in the middle, 2 wide, and you put 2 on the other side of the court. You try to spread them out. Boozer catches the ball, holds on to it for a second. Now his job is to not get fouled right away, right? Because what UConn is trying to do is steal the ball right away or foul within 2 seconds, because you don't want the clock to tick off. But that's what was so crazy, is that Boozer caught it and got rid of it at the perfect time to the inbound guy. The inbound guy, now you can see UConn has 2 guys closing in on him. Now what UConn is doing is the 2 guys on the farthest side of the court for Duke are wide open. And that's UConn's goal, is hopefully Duke throws it that way and somehow it's a bad pass or a turnover, right? Now they're trying to foul the guy that just caught from the inbound pass. He gets rid of it quick, so now they can't foul him. So now UConn is scrambling. Right now, Duke is winning this chess match. Right. You know what I mean? Now, the Duke player, the Boozer brother, that I'm not going to say isn't as good, but he's the lesser of the 2 Boozer brothers, obviously still a great Division I star, catches the ball. He's had some bad turnovers this game. He didn't look confident, because what he could have done, this is Monday quarterback, and I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just saying, playing devil's advocate, is he could have just
Everything happens way quicker when it's real time in such a moment. We already know.
He could have dribbled back a couple steps.
Sure, because he hadn't even used his dribble yet. He just caught the ball.
He just caught the ball. Now, supposedly what he did, no, not supposedly, what he did was face the defender, what you're supposed to do in this, which, like, this is fundamental coaching that I've learned over the last 24 hours talking to sources. He turned around. Now, I don't think here he really choked, right? Because he high pointed the pass and he's high pointing it, kind of trying to throw it over his head because he has two defenders like this, right?
Yeah.
The ball gets tipped.
Right. That was it. The guy had too much length on him. He couldn't get the ball high enough.
He was never getting that ball off. Now, the one thing I'm for sure Shire was saying for Duke, the head coach was like, hey, don't let them get a jump ball, obviously. I think Duke was a little thrown off that they haven't gotten fouled still. You know what I mean? They're up 72-70, and all UConn's trying to do is steal the inbound or foul right away, right? You're hoping they miss one, and you're going to have 5 seconds to get a decent shot off. But anyways, the Boozer brother, the ball gets tipped. Now, the guy that catches it passes it to
the right shoulder.
Yep.
Right.
To a three-point shooter. He thought that guy was going to shoot it.
Shut down.
That guy made an amazing basketball play. And because he would not have made that shot, most likely. I think that's like a 1% shot because he had a guy right in his face. He wouldn't have been able to, he would have had to have moved the ball just to kind of get it off. But he dishes it, obviously, and the rest is history.
Braylon Mullins just knocks down a 35-footer from
Mullins
the logo.
says he was shocked that he got the ball back because all he was thinking was, let's just make sure we get a shot off. But the guy was just so poised, pass it to Mullins, and Mullins steps into it. If I'm Duke, I don't think it's like worst case scenario, right? The guy still has to make a 35-foot jumper.
Yeah, it's a miracle shot.
I thought it was interesting that the Boozer brother that turned the ball over actually kind of played the right defensive move, and he guarded the cutter that was coming into the cutting into the basket. If he didn't do that, I think the guy that passed it to Mullins would have thrown it, and they would have made a layup, and it would have went into overtime, which I think would have been a disaster for Duke. If you're not playing results-oriented basketball, you give up the 35-foot three-pointer, and the kid buried it, and it's one of the most amazing plays in basketball history, not just March Madness history.
100%.
But yeah, and the Boozer brother was real hard. Camden Boozer was real hard on himself, and he was teary-eyed, but answered the questions like a man. And, if you're a coach in that situation, you don't ever blame one play. You go back and say, hey, we put, as a coach, I'm sorry I put you in that position. But I know what he's thinking after you watch the replay. Geez, I could have just took one quick jab step to the left, one dribble, and just thrown the ball straight up in the air.
He just acted like his feet were planted in cement. All he had to do was just move a little bit, and he could have had the open pass. It's so crazy. Yeah. But that's why these moments is just so pressure filled, right? And what does it do? It bursts pipes, makes diamonds. And here this kid is on a moment that he'll forever regret and something he'll think about for the next 20 years. Absolutely unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, it's brutal because you just never think that. And I mean, you're controlling the whole game. You're up 19.
What I would say. Yeah, they were up 19.5. They let that whole thing go, man. It's crazy.
Yep. It was one of the most clutch shots in history. And I just think I was
just the nature of the two programs, right? It's like it was a marquee matchup. Everybody saw this Final Four. When it was 19-point lead, I didn't see that coming. I thought it was going to be a closer game. And as it tightened up and things got really interesting at the end, it turned out to be even better than what anybody had billed it as for two such guys or for two such programs to come down to this kind of oriented moment. What a statement.
Yeah, Eric's saying he should have put a good ball fake in. I would love to have, got Eric on here live being a Northeastern high school superstar, we'll call him. But because he was a point guard too. Yeah. Eric, are you taught on full court press, if you can't get a backcourt violation, are you taught not to dribble backwards? Because I thought he could have just caught it and like literally dribbled backwards like 2 or 3 steps. I know that's kind of weird dribbling like to your own hoop, but like in a backwards angle where at least you could breathe a little bit, you're about to get hacked. I think that Boozer was just like convinced that he was about to get hacked. And therefore, and obviously you don't want to get the jump ball going against you. But I thought, and of course, we're looking at it from an elevated point of view, but It's just like you should be so calm in those moments. Yeah. So absolutely
reverse dribble, create space.
Yeah.
Concern is back pressure. Yeah.
Concern is back pressure. That's what I was thinking too, right? But like he's seeing the whole court because where he caught it, there's like so much, like he had a great vantage point.
He did. He was right in the middle of the court, man.
He could have did one dribble. And also, I always thought that when you're in that situation, you go elbows, but not super high. You're not trying to get but low elbows, right? Low elbows. And like, so therefore you can't get the jump ball. You're not, and you just don't want to get called for the.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's just got to eat him up because obviously if we're thinking this, Carlos Boozer is talking to Camden Boozer and they're like, hey, you made you probably had 15 different decisions you could have made and you kind of made the wrong one. And it still resulted in a 35-foot, almost a half court shot. And the guy just nothing but net. I know that when I'm shooting hoops, right? When I'm in warmups, I'm just burying. I'm like 6 for 10, 7 for 10 from 3. And then when the game starts, I'm lucky to be 3 for 10 from 3 because I'm out of breath. I'm winded, a little bit of adrenaline. It's just crazy that this kid, right? Like who didn't have a great game, freshman, just gets a 35-footer and
the way he leaned into it was so perfect, bro.
Doesn't even come close to hitting the rim. Just splashes the net. And like the crunch time gene there is just something that LeBron and Jordan would be proud of,
And Langdon taking a shot there.
Yes. But,
So
great ending. And, it's unfortunate for Duke, but that's why we watch sports, right? That's why we watch it. I watch sports. It's why I love watching golf late. I love watching these guys sit over a 5-foot putt where we know they can make that in their sleep. We can't make it in our sleep, but they can in their sleep. And, you know how many times Boozer has been pressed in his whole high school and AAU career? And just to think that ball got tipped. I always wonder too, obviously the scoreboard's right above him. So you can't just throw the ball up in the air. And you don't ever want to coach your guys to do that. But I was like, man, he could have just did one dribble and literally just.
That's what I thought he was going to do. And just launch it into the sky and see what happens. Because then they got to scramble you out of bounds it from over there, anything. But instead he went for the corner pass. And that's why it got tipped.
And, when you're seeing the emotion on Boozer's face after the game, it's kind of like why you watch the game and why we talk about the game, why we have talk shows and podcasts about sports is I've always said that I want them to care more than me, right? Because I'm a spectator. I want the athletes to care more than me. And you can obviously tell everyone on that court wanted to win that game. So it's great watching a sport where everyone is trying so hard because there's a very good chance that's going to be the biggest game in most of those guys' careers, No, you're exactly right, Eric. And because you played point guard at a high level. They both went up I think they're both trying to tip the ball. And if not, they're going to hammer him on the foul. And it's crazy that 5 seconds went by without a foul because that's all UConn's trying to do. At first you steal, then you trap for maybe a second, hoping the guy gets nervous, and then you're fouling, right? The whole point. What's the whole point when you're losing the game? When you're losing the game, you extend.
Got to stop the clock. Exactly.
Yep. You want to extend the game, but just crazy to think. I mean, when you watch it, Boozer could have just took one dribble to the left and could have rolled the ball to the two guys that are
something, right? Yeah.
They're so wide open on the other side. And that's where he was throwing it. We've all seen it. How many times on a full court press late in the game, the guy catches it and just throws it up towards those guys and they're wide open. Sometimes that guy catch it and does a windmill dunk to end the game. which they could have done there because they would have been up 4. That would have sealed it. Or they could have just dribbled around for a second, maybe got fouled with 1 second to go. And in college basketball, timeouts don't advance the ball. I wish the NBA would go to that, to be honest with you. I hate how a timeout moves the ball.
It's so cheap.
Yeah, just like if it's a timeout, you get the ball where you call the timeout. That's it.
Right, agreed.
Let's move on. I saw the Rory McIlroy had a great documentary on the Masters and his hunt for the Masters and how humiliating some of his experiences were. I thought it was an interesting story that his mom and dad would drop him off at the golf course at 8 a.m. And there were sometimes they'd have to go there at 10 p.m. and find him on the golf course. And he would kind of switch up where he would go. So his mom couldn't find him. They'd have to get on a golf cart and go find him. But that's 14 hours a day this guy is putting in at 8, 9 years old, and just a work ethic. And you wonder how these guys are like so confident on some of these short shots. And, mistakes still happen, but, just the ball striking. And when you watch them, it's because these guys are literally hitting millions of golf balls by the time they're pros.
Yeah.
And you're talking about 10,000 golf balls a week these guys are hitting just to get, that's when they're teenagers. It was just crazy to see how, just the work ethic, and it got him to where he is today, which is one of the best golfers, one of the greatest. I think that if you ask him, he's a little disappointed in his career. But when we go back and see Rory McIlroy, career Grand Slam, right? He has that to his resume, which only 6 golfers have that.
Sure.
And I think if you asked him, he would say that he, in his mind, underachieved after the start of his career, but still one of the greatest golfers in history. And the only reason why he got there was because of how hard he worked.
Bro, and we all know, man, he's got one of the purest swings that's ever been had in golf, and just how hard he hits the ball for his size. It's unreal watching him actually play. I was so sad to see him get scratched the day we were at API. And then I watched him like the next week go through and everything. I was really looking forward to seeing him and the way that he compresses the ball on his irons. The guy's just pure stud, man. That's awesome, though. Well, speaking of golf, one of Rory McIlroy's, fellow tour mates and best friends and mentor and guys that have done commercials together, and they've had some really good ones. Tiger Woods got in a little bit of an interesting incident. Apparently rolled his car over again. From the latest report, he told the police that he was looking at his phone while changing the radio, and that's when his car flipped. Other spectators that I've heard is there was a car that was in front of him that he wanted to go around because it was going too slow, like a truck per se, small road.
It was towing like pressure cleaning equipment or something like that.
Yes, and he was trying to go around it, and whenever he finally made the move to go around it, he overcorrected because there was an oncoming car, and that's how he flipped. Yeah. So either way, the guy blew a 0-0. He was not drinking, but he refused a piss test. And so they got him a DUI, right? Because you're refusing a federal test. Now, obviously, anybody who knows Tiger Woods understands he has a bit of an issue with prescriptions and scripts and whatnot. And bless his heart, the guy was just, I think the day before, he was just back on the TGL, his own golf thing. He was on his own team, representing Team Tiger, and finally in shape. And everyone's talking about the physical turnaround and how good he looks and how he's ready to go out and potentially make a return to the tour, And then here we are hearing this again, man. And I just, such an unlikable guy. Such an unlikable guy. Really, Gene? You think so? I mean, growing up, man, Tiger Woods was a hero. Like, to me, he was the coolest guy. Lousy tipper. I took care of him personally over at Seasons 52 before. He happened to be there with some very cool people like Charles Oakley. Michael Jordan was there. It was a cool night right there in the Seasons 52 and Dr. Phillips on Restaurant Row. He was a very generous tipper that night. So maybe it was service. I'm not sure. Maybe he had bad service and he tipped bad. I don't know. Maybe with me, he had good service. I'm not sure. But either way.
He's a legend. I don't know. I think Tiger's Tiger. And I think maybe that's why I'm not a police officer, because I would have gladly whispered in his ear, "Hey, I'm gonna take care of you right now. You take care of me later."
You
That's
get
it.
on out of here right now. You get on out of here.
Especially if you're blowing a 0.0,
Right.
because
What
you
are
could
we
just say
talking
he's
about?
out of it because he banged his head.
Yeah.
And yeah, he has screws in every part of his body, and he's one of the greatest athletes to ever for us to ever witness. I mean, literally,
He
I used
changed
to
the game of
revolve.
golf single-handedly. Nobody ever used to work out. Nobody ever had prep. Nobody ever used to put that kind of time in until Tiger Woods came out and showed your physical shape makes a physical difference in the game, right? And then now look
Yeah,
at the average golf athlete. It's not like they're all these dudes, fuzzy zellers with these bellies. Everybody's in shape. Everybody's a stud. Everybody took the Bryson DeChambeau program and got jacked, like Tiger
yeah,
changed the game, man.
it's all because of Tiger. My favorite personal Tiger Woods story is at the Honda Classic, because I used to live down in South Florida. We went one year, and he was I was right there smack in the middle. This when Steve Williams was his caddy, and they were trying to find out how far it was to the front lip of the bunker. So Steve Williams is walking it off, and I'm like hearing them talk, which was like the first time I've ever heard them talk in person, right? And I always love the golfer to caddy conversations, right? Because it sounds similar to when I'm talking to like you, right? And we're on the golf course, and I'm like, "Hey, how far do you think it is?" And we're like, "Yeah, it looks like it's 125." And one of us has a rangefinder, and you look at it, and it's like 120, and we pretend like, "Whoa, that's a big difference." But to them, it actually means something, right? And so Steve Williams tells Tiger, it's to the lip of the bunker, the greenside bunker, it's 162, 163. And Tiger looks him dead in the eye and says, "Which one?" So then
You're like,
Steve Williams
what?
has all this paper, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just heard that," right? This is before smartphones or anything like that. So literally, Steve Williams walks it over again and like has all these things. He's writing it down. He's like, "It's 162 the bunker, the greenside bunker, the lip." And I was just like, "Holy shit. That's 1 yard. That's under 1% difference." But literally, he wanted to know if it was 163, 162. The point is, Tiger's one of the greatest athletes of all time. If it was up to me, you give him a pass. Nobody got hurt. No reason to arrest him. Let him slide, and maybe suggest. I read this long article this morning about how he
Yeah.
doesn't want to ever have a driver, and that's never a thing
And that's what everyone
because
keeps talking about. He pays $200,000 a year for a driver. Does he? I mean, he likes
no,
driving.
well, I suggested that number. Yeah, I suggested that he makes 200, that he could pay someone that. And I don't think that I read the article that said that he just is such a private person that you don't want to demean one of your friends and ask him to be your driver, right? Also, Tiger's friends all make more than 200 grand a year, let's be real. And um he's not going to bring in a stranger because he just does not trust people like that, you know? Because obviously, if you're a driver, man, there's drivers that have written books. So if you're a driver, even if you sign all these, NDAs, he just doesn't want to deal with it. And I thought he worded it perfectly in his statement. I took a mixture of prescription drugs that I've taken before, but it hit me different this time. And this is another huge learning lesson for me. Thank you. Thank you for your, attention to this matter. And that's it. I wasn't surprised he blew a 0.0, but I think his lawyers will easily get this case thrown out. And,
I agree. I think Tiger's gonna be just fine. And hopefully he can get back on the course.
Now, since nobody got hurt, that's why I think they should have just let him slide. But, it is what it is. It was interesting, though, watching them try to flip the vehicle over, right? And like the tow truck guy, and like I saw him like move it a little bit, and I'm just thinking, oh my, I know like Tiger's just gonna throw away that car, right? He's
Sure.
gonna sell it back to the dealership, and he's just gonna get a brand new, and he doesn't care about the loss. But I was just thinking, I'm watching a tow truck, he like dragged it through the pavement just for like 2 or 3 feet, trying to get it in position where they could flip it back over. And I was like, oh my goodness, like those door panels, that's probably like literally 30, 40 grand worth of damage.
Oh, of course.
Even though it barely flipped over, because you just got to replace that whole side panel from the front all the way to the back.
All the way to the back.
I don't know what it was. I think it's a Rolls Royce. It's like, I don't know, like a Bentley or a Rolls Royce SUV, but it's an SUV I'd never seen before. Sure. I noticed it right away. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. I've never seen that kind of SUV. But he's such a private person. He's never going to get a driver. And that could change now, obviously, because now you're looking at, I mean, Tiger's
there's too many incidents. Like, buddy, they're going to take your license or something's going to happen. Like, it's got to be one of the two. You're gaining points. You're going to see Tiger Woods in the next driving school at the Laugh Academy sitting next to you taking notes. Like, so stupid.
I want to give a shout out to the Hulsmans as well, friends of the show. And they really gave us, a big shout out today. They're huge social media influencers, we'll call them, but they have a huge outreach and we appreciate the support. That's also Tommy Steamers. No secret, that's my dad. But Tiger's a Trump supporter, and there's some conspiracy theories that the media was crushing him and the cop that pulled him over, which obviously has to be a Trump supporter. Any cop has to be a supporter of Trump, I think, because he doesn't want to defund the police like some of these bozos. But anyways, all right, let's move on.
Moving on. Out of golf. We going into baseball?
Yeah, let's go. Oh, yeah, let's talk baseball. Talk baseball.
All right. Or you want to go into NFL? I was going to say,
I'll let you lead the way.
All right, we're talking baseball. Last night, we had a matchup. I thought it was a potential ALCS preview, man, like the Yanks and the Mariners. It was a great matchup. The thing that's sad about the storyline is what stole the headlines is the ABS, the automatic ball strike system, right? And this has been going on in the baseball.
All over. We tapped into the podcast. Right. So, go on. Let's hear it.
I'm just saying, like, I think it's kind of crazy to hear all these people getting upset about arguing with robots. This is what they're bitching about. This is what they're saying. And you're talking differences of an inch, half inch that are these calls. And I think that there's obviously going to be human error. So it's perfectly natural to want to sit there and to keep somebody accountable because these are such big moments and there's so much momentum and you just don't know what happens the next play if you get the right call. And Boone's team, the Yankees, they were 5 for 5 on their ABS challenges last night. And they still lost 2-1 to a Cal Riley walk-off. Big dumper, dumping bombs out there. Crazy, man. I think that you had it on the preview for the show, are the Dodgers and the Yankees on a collision course. Right now, we'll keep testing this throughout the season. I would have to agree at the moment. I mean, nobody, and I said this before the show, nobody in the league and baseball is 4-0. Everyone's 3-1. Only one team is 0-4. Everybody else is 1-3, right? It's the Athletics. Why are they 0-4? That's bad luck. They got too many bats. Yeah. With that being said, man, it's not like anybody came out and just, it's a few games in. It wasn't complete domination. The Yankees and the Dodgers were right there. Yankees were about to be first 4-0 team, and then this happened. I think that
let's talk about the ABS though, right? Because the Yankees got 5 balls, 5 overturned, all on balls and strikes, obviously. And we're getting to this point now where let's be real, it's almost impossible for an umpire to get a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. And if you're off by this much, you're an asshole and you're the worst umpire in history, right?
And that's only crazy. 96. You got guys throwing 99, 100.
Yeah.
Like, how can you even see that?
So you can't see it. And that's the problem. And that's why we're doing it this way. That's why the ABS, because there's too much human error. I don't blame the umpire. How the hell is the umpire going to tell? Literally, if they were overturning calls that were outs instead of, like, let's say a ground ball to the shortstop and the umpire called the guy out and he was safe because the runner was digging down the first baseline, that would be egregious, right? 5 overturned safe and out calls. But we're talking about balls and strikes. And obviously the MLB started this because there were too many, arguments. And they have a system.
A lot like tennis, right? You've seen the tennis system.
Just
the
like
ball
tennis.
hits, they challenge it. It shows you exactly what it is. Like, and you move on. It's supposed to be quick, expedited. You just want the right call. That's all we want.
And the ABS, they got it right? Because if you get the challenge right, you get to keep it. It's a very quick process. I want to say, what do you think the average? Yeah, what do you think the average challenge is? How long does it take? 7 seconds?
Maybe 10.
Oh, maybe 10. So it's 10 seconds and under.
And they already sped the game up. The whole pitch clock sped the game up tremendously.
Yep, the pitch clock, which we all questioned. It was obviously, now we're like, how did we not have a pitch clock before?
Yeah, you
and
have
the
to.
ABS is the same thing. Now, I said this before the season started. I can't wait for like the meaningful games, because the ABS is then it's going to be like, man,
Pins and needles every strike and ball, man.
do you use it? Because let's say Garrett Cole uses one early, or Cam Schittler uses one early, and they're wrong. Now Boone has to hold on to that one challenge. And literally, we saw it the other day where they didn't challenge it, and then the next guy hit a double and knocked 2 runs in. You know what I mean? And we thought they should have challenged it. We had never found out if we would have been right or wrong. But literally, it would have been strike 3. They didn't challenge it. And then the next guy hits a double. The next at bat, the guy hits a double, and 2 runs came in. Just like that. Imagine if that was a playoff game. Imagine if that was a World Series game.
Right.
Instead of 3-1, it would have been 1-1 if they would have challenged it. It's crazy. It's
crazy.
But
so it's going to be a game changer coming on. Playoffs are going to be crazy with it.
They got the system down pat, and it's very quick. And I just love how if you challenge it, there's no debate on how many you get if you challenge it. And yes, this might exploit some of the umpires that aren't as good in balls and strikes.
And that's okay.
I have a hard time ripping these guys, but if that's going to be one of the things where, the umpires have a very strict rating system that they've had for a very long time, and just like every league now, and these guys get graded very tough. And trust me, these umpires, before the ABS, knew if they missed a call or not. Pretty soon after the game, they got rated. So now either they're going to have to tighten up, or, it's just going to be one of those things where umpires are going to be wrong. And I could see 5 or 10 years from now that umpire will literally be calling balls or strikes right away based upon the computer that tells them, AI, right? So literally the pitch will come through, and within a millisecond, the umpire will have headphones in or something, ball or strike. That's it. Or his left leg will vibrate, or his right leg will vibrate. But that umpire will literally be announcing the ball or strike, not from his own opinion, but from official AI. I think that's
the future of the game, huh?
Yep.
Has to
and
be.
I'm okay with it when it comes to balls and strikes. There are some things the human eye just cannot detect. And that is a centimeter. Like, you remember I said an inch, and you said most of the time it's less than that. You're exactly right. It's probably like, you're talking about maybe a centimeter. How the hell can you tell if a fastball coming in at 99
and if
miles
the ball even touches if it touches any part of the strike zone, right on the line, whatever, it's a strike. You know what I mean?
I thought that was very interesting, because I did not know that. Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that, I didn't really know what the rule was, but I didn't know if 1% of the ball touched the strike zone, it was a strike.
Just like tennis. It's just like tennis, bro.
Yeah, but that's more of an official line. Like, I always know that.
Well, right, but I'm using, it's a line. But if it touches any part of that's good, it's good. And it's the same thing with the strike zone.
Yeah, and I never thought about that before the season when they were when they were going to have the ABS. I thought that maybe, it was going to be like a portion of the ball. But yeah, like if any part of that ball nips the strike zone,
it's a strike.
It's a strike.
And that's why Maddox's and those boys they were so great, because they would stretch that edge, right? And when you talk about this ABS, it takes away from those guys that used to sit there and stretch out that edge an extra 2 to 3 inches, let alone a few centimeters. And then now these guys aren't getting the benefit of the calls because they're arguing. They're saying you just can't give him the call because he's so good. You know what I mean? Like, they gotta. Oh, you're right.
No, yeah, but you better believe. Like, first of all, we all know the umpires do this, and they should do this. That if you're a guy that cannot command the strike zone that day, let's just say, you're not going to get the close calls.
Right.
But if you haven't walked a guy in 6 innings and the umpire is kind of you're forcing the umpire to stretch the zone. Now, that still is going to come into play a little bit, but yeah, you're right.
That's got to be something to do there, because you can't let them stretch the zone anymore. That no longer is a thing, because people just challenge the calls, and you're wrong,
But also there's going to be times where I think teams are going to be out of challenges after the first, second inning.
Okay, I get you.
It's going to be
there's only so many.
Yeah, and then and then there's going to be that stat where if they didn't use the challenge the first 2, the umpire still missed 8 balls or strikes. It's going to be it's a brutal thing, but it's a must for the sport. It's so hard to hit a baseball anyways, and that strike zone isn't huge. I think it should be expanded a little bit higher.
Well, what's crazy too is that the strike zone changes for every player. And that's something that's different too, is because a Jose Altuve strike zone is way different from a Aaron Judge strike zone. Yep. You're talking like it's from this to this. You know what I mean? Like, that's different, man. And whenever you have something that's different for every player, there's always going to be some sort of error of, like it's different. It's not quite as consistent. There's room for error is all I mean. So yeah, I think that it's definitely better to have the ABS, because it's somebody's opinion how big the strike zones should be. So I'm curious, what is AI going to say when they see an Altuve come up versus anybody else who, is way bigger, like a Judge? I think it's interesting.
No, agreed. Let's talk NFL. Pickens is a hot topic right now because there are whispers, and I don't want to unfairly put this on Pickens.
I'm just not surprised by this. It's so annoying, though. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I know, but it just sucks because Pickens is probably at home working out, busting his ass. And they're saying, since he has the franchise tag, I thought it was very interesting what Steve Jones came out and said, because he was like, I understand that Pickens wants a long-term deal, but we are also paying him $2.5 million a month to be a Dallas Cowboy. So Dak Prescott had to play under the tag. The franchise tag is there for a reason. Now Pickens is making $27 million. Steve Jones didn't say the $2.5 million a month. I said that, right? But he said, we're paying Pickens a lot of money to come and show up for work. So pretty much he was saying Dak Prescott had to play under a franchise tag. A lot of great players had to play under a franchise tag. And yes, OTAs are voluntary. And there's a very strict wording in that with the players union that it is voluntary and you don't have to go. But if I was Pickens, I would be the first one there, because if you want that big contract, nobody is questioning your physical ability. No, you can't
just go there and be a leader, right? Like, go show them that you deserve the contract. Go show them why you deserve the contract. Go show them that they have to give you the contract. You're that good. You're a dog. Yep. You're better than everybody else on the team, and you're so integral with CD and with Ferguson and with Dak and Javonte, and that offense with Pickens is a different level. It's necessary, and it just sucks that we don't have this cohesiveness from a standpoint of we all want to be there for this one common goal. There's still other personal interests that are involved when it should just be about the team being all in for the championship. And obviously we're in a different day of age. Business is always going to be a thing that has to be handled first before you get on the field. But my God, you already got tagged. Just go show up. And I said, I'm not surprised. He's had the kind of personality type, and he's had this sort of behavior his entire career to do shit like this. You know what I mean?
And the problem is, like we've said many times on this show, is that as a receiver, your window is just not very big. And if a quarterback tears his ACL, no big deal. But if a receiver does it, the first thing we're wondering is, will they be back? Will they be the same? Right. And Pickens, You can't question his ability. You can't question his age. We know he's young. But the question is his attitude. Now, they're saying if he has another big season, he's going to be getting JSN Jamar Chase type of money. If he has another season better than CeeDee Lamb, he's the number one now. But they say that, how can Dallas pay, $40 million a year to a guy? And let's just say it's not 40, but let's just say it's 34. If you're Dallas, you just say, hey, we just can't do it. And let's reset the market, not reset the market, but let's reset our own wide receiver market and just go draft a guy in the first round where we could pay him, $10 million a year. And that's only 3% of your salary instead of 10% of your salary cap,
Well, I don't know. I think that if you're looking at Pickens doing this, man, like, I think the language should be, look, we're going to give you some upfront money. You're going to get paid. You're going to be one of the top receivers. We're going to restructure this. We're gonna do this in a couple years, and we're gonna float some of these numbers down the road as the cap number continues to grow. We'll make sure you continue to get paid. I hate this leverage chess game that they're always playing between the players and the ownership. Who has the most leverage? How can you use it?
Yeah.
And then you're never on the same page. It's always an agent versus the management team, and it's like you don't want to give an edge because you want to get paid the maximum dollar when. Bro, it's just the wrong sort of mentality when you want to win championships. You know what I mean? Like, you get the money taken care of, but you get your ass on the field. And then let's be open about it. Let's have an open dialogue. Let's put it out there for everyone to understand so there's no question. So it's complete transparency. There's clarity. There's clear direction. I know what you're doing. You know what I'm doing. And let's go get this, right? But there's never that. There's always some sort of shroud. There's always some sort of mystery. You can't have the full communication because that takes away my leverage, and I don't want to do that. It sucks, bro. It sucks as a fan. It sucks.
It sucks as a fan, but also, Pickens has 5 to 7 years to make enough money to pay for him and his family.
And you're saying he's going to be paid with the tops of JSN and Jamar Chase. Is he that good? Have we seen him separate? Or is he that good because Lamb is that good and we have this nasty offense and there's a lot of space for him to operate in? I don't know if he's that guy that can literally, and he took on a number one a couple of games last year, but it was like against the Jets or whoever and blah, blah, blah. Like, can he go in the playoffs and take on the number one CB or safety and defender and still be a producer like that? Because he seems to contest a lot of balls. He does have the athleticism to go out and do it, but it's not like he's leaving anybody behind in his route trees. You know what I mean? There's always somebody around him. And that's the one thing that we always heard our buddy Schneider talk about. He's really talented at making contested catches. Is that somebody who you want to pay as the number one? I mean, it's kind of tough.
No, yeah. I think that Jeff
and he had a great season, so I get it. But can he do it if Lamb wasn't there?
I don't think he cares. I'm not speaking for Pickens here, but I don't even know if he cares that much about if he's going to be 40 million or 30 million. I think he wants to secure his future, and you got to kind of made your bed and you got to land it. Your Dallas Cowboys are saying, hey, you're good enough that we're going to pay you $27 million this year. So that's a huge chunk of money. And that is, you're one of the highest paid receivers just doing that. Right.
Right.
But they're saying we need to see one more year where we know you're mentally not going to totally fuck us. And then
and there he is at the house, just working out in his own privacy, not doing anything with us.
Yeah. I thought it's been interesting with the Giants that we're Jeremiah Love to the Giants is getting a lot of traction.
What do you think about that? Obviously, that negates Tyrone Tracy. We always say Tony Tracy. Then negates Tracy, right? And then you still have Scatabo, and then you would have Jeremiah Love as your undisputed number one.
Yeah, I mean, it would totally take Tyrone Tracy out, and Cam Scatabo would lose a lot of fantasy value. That's for sure. But I think that if you think he's a generational type running back, right? The one thing Scadabo's not going to do is he's not going to bust you a 40 or 50 yarder, right? And I think that if you are this is a copycat league. Who won the Super Bowl MVP this year, right? It was a running back. And I think that the Giants have a lot of needs. But
he was a running back that had shown a lot of promise, but couldn't quite stay healthy. And he finally was given an opportunity, and Charbonnet was out, and he just took it, And that's
yeah,
like, that's what you're wondering. Are there a lot of guys that are in the league like that are bad luck, injury, lines, this and that? But if you give them the right opportunity in the right situation, they shine.
yeah. The more I think about it, I think the Giants they go a Tate, or they go maybe a Jeremiah Love. But a lot of people are saying Caleb Downs. Johnny T says we aren't ready to draft a luxury player. We did that with Saquon, and how'd that work out? So Saquon got us to the second round of the playoffs.
I was going to say, you guys did go with Saquon.
And
he wasn't the problem.
Yeah, I don't think he was the problem. And I think now with Malik Neighbors out wide and with Jackson Dart, with like all the arm talent he has and with his legs, we have a great left tackle. I don't mind getting a running back and putting him on a rookie contract for 5 years, teaming him up with Scatterbo behind him and Neighbors out wide with a likely. Maybe we go get a receiver in the second or third round, but this is the problem, is that we just don't address our secondary. But you can argue with a great front four, you don't always need the best secondary. You know what I mean? You need a smart secondary, and maybe Harbaugh thinks, hey, we have the guys here that with that pass rush we're going to have, we don't need to get elite secondary guys because our pass rush is going to be that fierce. So I don't know.
Now, you also heard Harbaugh was not opposed to bringing back OBJ, right? Yeah. Just a little rumor. OBJ was in the flag football game. What was it, a week ago? Something like that. Just one-handing touchdowns over defenders, and Tom Brady's over here juking people off his flag, right? So he's just showing life, and he's healthy. And I guess there's some interest with him being back in the NFL, and the Giants have been one of the teams that Harbaugh was even okay with mentioning him in name, saying we would not be opposed to bringing back an OBJ. So when you talk about a second receiver, what if OBJ is your second receiver with Neighbors? And that's your story with Jeremiah Love and Scottaboo and Likely, and then this is your offense with Dart. Like, that's not a bad thing, and you might be able to get him on the cheap. Now, I'm sure you still probably go draft somebody. I do think you go get another receiver, but I think that gives you somebody in the locker room, somebody with experience, somebody that adds a little jazz, brings the energy, right? I think you guys would be very excited, and OBJ would be welcomed with open arms to the Giants organization again.
Yeah. I mean, the guy can never stay healthy. He's going to go down as one of the greatest.
But you're bringing him in, I feel, for the tutelage and for being one of the greater receivers. And he has worked with the likes of a Devontae Adams or a Puka or whatever, and the guy's worked with some really talented people. Like, he's really good, and I think that he could pass that knowledge on to Neighbors in your other wide receiving rooms,
No, I agree. I mean, how old is Beckham? He's 33. He'll be 34 halfway through the year.
So he's what, 33.5?
Yeah, 33. Well, he's 33.5. Yeah, I mean, I love Beckham. Beckham could have been one of the greatest of all time.
Well, and that's what I'm just saying. It's an interesting angle to hear that he might come back, especially when you're looking with all this youth to bring in some veteran savvy, right? That's all.
Yeah. Our receiving room, yeah, exactly. Bring him in, see what he's got.
Yeah.
Our receiving room is not very deep after we lost Wandale. I don't know how Likely comes into play here.
Is Likely a blocker, though? He's a receiver. And that's what we know. He's definitely more of a downfield threat. And I think that's what we're going to get out of him, right?
Yeah.
Because don't you still – who's your other tight end? What was his name? Big white boy with a B? Is that
Theo
it?
Robinson. Bellinger's gone.
Oh, Bellinger's gone. So you got Uncle Theo as your other tight end. He's a blocker, right?
I mean, he's a good receiver. He's great. He's good, but he's a good receiving tight end. But I don't know if he has that.
As talented as Likely. Theo Johnson. Man.
Theo Johnson. I always say Theo Robinson.
You always say Theo Robinson. That's fine. Uncle Theo. I just call him Uncle Theo, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I always call him Theo Robinson. Theo Johnson. No, I know.
He's never been a leader.
You bring OBJ in to like lead your other guys. You know what I mean? I mean, Odell Beckham will be leading those boys to the nightclubs and not to the practice field. But
That's funny, bro. I wonder if that's true. You imagine Odell gets neighbors in trouble at a club, they get into a fight, blah, 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 blah. You're like, no. If that
Yeah.
happens, you heard it here. He just filed bankruptcy. Yeah, he needs
You
money,
know,
bro. He's about to get paid.
Beckham is looking at, like, if Beckham could have stayed healthy and stayed out of trouble, which, I mean, not like he got into much trouble, but he has not had good looks. He had that airplane incident, but Beckham is like, he's 33. If he was 29, he could be getting $100 million contract, and now he's filing for bankruptcy. These athletes must want to pull their hair out when they see the amount of money these guys are making now. And like, if I told Beckham, imagine if you just came to the league 4 years later.
Yeah,
If
it'd
you
be
were
totally
born
different.
if you were born in 1996 instead of 1992 or something,
Sure.
whatever, then you'd be $100 million guy. Now instead you're filing bankruptcy. It's just freaking crazy. It's like these athletes must go crazy to see,
Not
like,
just that, but OBJ was on that run with the Rams and he blew his knee out that playoff run. And that was
yeah,
like,
he was on pace to be Super Bowl MVP.
bro, that was awful, man. That if he gets that Super Bowl MVP, his whole career is different. Even just after that, after everything he had gone through, he had done enough to reignite. And he's bad luck, man. Bad knees.
These guys are making a lot of money now, and I don't want to suppress anyone and tell people how much you can make, but it's like the fans are the ones that get punished because they just can't go to a game without dropping an arm and a leg. And I know that the money doesn't just come from ticket sales, but it's just crazy to think that, like, what Dak Prescott makes in one game, it will take me 25 or 30 years to make that kind of money. I just doesn't seem proportionately, like, I don't even want to say fair, but like, right. How is that even possible?
I mean,
That
I hear you.
Bryce
And
Young,
it's because of the money that the league, generates. And I've always hung my head on this, man. Like, I know they keep making more money, and a lot of people have a problem with how much money they make, but nobody else is putting their body on the line like that, man. These guys literally get hit so many times from the days that they're in elementary, middle, high school, all the way through college to the NFL. By the time they're done getting this contract, they've been hit how many hundreds of thousands of times, millions of times. They've laid out hits, yada, yada. CTE is a real thing. Your body's a weapon. You're landing on the line every day. Like, you deserve to be compensated because you're never going to
no,
live
yeah,
the same
I'm not
lifestyle.
saying deserve is one thing, but like, you deserve to make sure your great, 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 great grandkids are going to be
I
okay.
hear
Like,
that, but I think that's all just proportional of the money that the league makes, and that's why everything keeps going up, is because we're the ones giving them that power with our viewership.
which I would agree with you if Patrick Mahomes and Jamar Chase and the Justin Jeffersons, but Bryce Young is making $50 million a year. Like,
I'm
how the
with you. I
fuck
don't agree, but
does that work?
everyone is going to keep going along with the gravy train, bro. That's just how it goes. There's players that I told you weeks ago, and I can't even recall his name. A dude who just got guaranteed money to go be a tight end for some other team that we talked about. The third string from the Ravens tight end is getting like 12, 17 million guaranteed, whatever it is. I don't even know these guys. They're getting more generational money than our family's ever going to see. And we don't even know who they are. They're nobodies. But that's what happens when you put your body on the line for a league that nobody can get enough of, man. Like, this league is unstoppable right now. And
Yeah.
until it comes out and they say that this whole thing is fixed, it's not stopping. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. The great Hyman Roth. This is the business we've chosen. Thanks, Gene. I'm going to end up putting that movie on right when I get off the podcast, too. Just have it played in the background.
I mean,
Try to make
people,
sure.
no matter what, there's just a lot of storylines. It's always headlines. They rule when it comes to staying in the news. And these people are just going to keep getting paid millions and millions of dollars. And as the cap keeps going up and the newer players that keep coming out, you're going to see people, receivers making 50 million a year sometime. People are going to be making $60 million a year sometime. Like, it's in the next decade. You know what I mean? It's on its way, man. The numbers just keep going up and they keep expanding the
I
league.
guess that's the question I have. And like, I'm not hating. Like, I don't like, and I also, the one thing I never do, I don't do it at my job. I don't count anyone else's money. I don't ever want, you never want to be the guy that's like, well, I did this, but he did that. You just go into work.
Amen.
Make your money. I don't count other people's money. But I think, when is it going to go down, I guess, is what I'm going to say.
How much higher can it go up before it goes back down, right?
It can't keep going up, right?
Well,
so
what we're going up on average, I think, what is it, like $25 or $30 million a year on the cap, right? It's something like that.
Yeah,
it seems to be going up about $25-30 million a year.
Yeah,
how many more years can we do that? Another 5 years, that's $100 million.
Yeah, so that goes up, salary cap goes up like what, 8% a year ish. So 8 to 10%. Yeah, I just sooner or later.
And they keep getting contracts with YouTube and Hulu and this, and they're in Europe, and now they're in Brazil, and now they're over in Germany, and they're in Spain. They're trying to put a team in Europe, and so they're like soaking up all this money over there now from the people that don't want to watch boring soccer. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, I said soccer, not football. Like, that's the way it goes. Our game is more exciting.
I don't mind when athletes are making money doing other things. I just think it's crazy that a family of 5 has to pay almost $2,000 to sit in not much desirable seats to go to a football game.
I agree.
While I got to see a below average quarterback that can't throw a 15-yard out or can't throw in the rain.
And it's not like these teams are giving you discounts whenever their starters aren't out. You don't get 10% off of concessions. Yeah. You don't get a break on your ticket. They should be doing things like that because you're not providing the best product. But because they already have all these salaries inked and all this money is guaranteed, that means that hot dog is $12, buddy. Whether Bryce Young or Andy Dalton's your quarterback, whoever it is, they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I'm okay with athletes making money, but like
do you said, endorsements, okay, but
yeah,
don't you feel it's almost like the market, right? Like, how much inflation are we going to have before it pops? Is there going to be like a point where the NFL market bursts? Where
like I saw Bryce Young, it was like week 16. He was 0 for 2 with like 1 pick, and then he was and I'm like, now
he's worth $35 million guaranteed. Like, what?
That guy just made $800,000 that quarter. That quarter. Like, what the fuck?
He did, and you and I could have done better.
I could have done better than that. Yeah. I probably would have fumbled. Who knows? But yeah. I mean, it's just real weird, and I don't know. Like,
well, this is the business that we're in, man, and everyone's gonna have an opinion about it.
Yeah, I mean, look how much we're making doing podcasts. I mean, people might say that we're making too much money. So
probably making way too much, but here we are. Thank you, Gene, for always being so generous.
Yeah. There's probably Joe Schmoes that are watching us right now saying, man, I could do that. I always like the Stephen A. Smith line when he was pissed off one day and he was like, you guys think you can come on? I thought he was going to have one of his stupid rants, which I actually like Stephen A. Smith. And he was like, you guys think you could do what I do on this show? You guys think you could do it? And he's like, of course you can, idiots. He's like, but can you do the 30 years that I did to get to this point? The mailroom, getting, writing all these bullshit articles and getting to this point where then I could finally, talk sports. Most people don't just have, that life where, you graduate college and boom, you're on a show.
Boom, your success. Yeah, it doesn't happen like that.
Ranks, and that's what Stephen A. Smith did. And that was what his rant was about. Yeah, anyone can go on and talk and yell about sports, but can you do what I did the 30 years before and see the vision? And, maybe it was 25 years, whatever he said, but I thought it was pretty good. I also thought it was interesting that the Magic let the Raptors go on a 31-0.
Oh my God, I didn't even want to mention it. Eric, if you're here, I'm sorry you got to hear about this. It's tough.
The Magic look bad, and I'm discounting it because they're not healthy, but they went from like a 4 seed, maybe a 5 seed, to now they're definitely in a play-in game.
In the play-in,
It's also very weird too because everyone's talking about the tanking thing, but if you look at it, the tanking is real because the play-in games have been the top 10 teams have been locked in. Like there is such a gap
between that 10th and 11th team.
The 10th and 11th, there's 10 games in between in each conference, give or take. One's 11, one's 9. So
and that's obvious, right? That just means it's obvious, bro. What are we doing? It's a competitive league, you know.
But everyone wants those top picks. I don't blame them. But all right, I got nothing else to add. What about you?
No, man, it was a great day. That was
One
awesome. We
thing,
appreciate
we might be moving our end times, our start times from 10 to 12, or start time from 10 to 12 next week. We have he's like pretty much a celebrity in the gambling world. His name is Zach. I don't even know if I want to say his last name because he is that big. I mean, this family, they are known to just crush casinos, crush sports betting, and he has a partnership with Hard Rock and some other things going on, and we're going to all try to work together to build something special. But we have him coming on the show next week, and due to his time restrictions, we are willing to move our time to cater to him and to make sure that we get the word out on what we're, starting to do and represent. And I always love hearing the ins and outs of the gambling world,
Yeah.
But all right.
Absolutely.
But yeah. Have a great day, guys. We appreciate you listening.
Appreciate you. Prop Stars out, man. We'll make sure we give you some noise next week. Appreciate you stopping by. Peace.